So it's one thing to vet, but I want to go this route for a second, right? Like, okay, I vetted, did it, I got in there. When do I know it's like, ooh, maybe this isn't what I thought it was going to be? I love thinking in bets and how we think. Is this our third one?
I don't know. I've only read Thinking in Bets. This is just called quit. And for a poker player, quitting is a different framing because you're not quitting, you're folding. When is it time to fold this opportunity? It is natural to have to make very different and difficult business decisions. So just because your company's laid people off does not mean it's like going in the sewer.
What are some things I can do to vet the team, to vet leadership a little bit, to get a feel? Because, like I said, it always sounds great.
Yeah.
Right? No one in the interview process is like, yo, I'm going to be honest, our CEO is insane. Right? Yeah. Like, there was just brilliant, all that. So, like, what can I do to vet this if maybe I don't have that direct line to, like, the leadership team?
Such a good question. I would say mentors are your biggest asset here, because I could give you information like, you want to look at track records and trajectory and this and that. But like, honestly, I've just had so many reps and I'm like so obsessed with the venture capital markets that I just know it sort of inherently. I think as an individual contributor in the first couple of years of your career, you're so right that it is a hard question to answer. Mentors are the most incredible resource in general. And I think in particular here, it's important. So if you don't have mentors, go get mentors, and you'd be crazy surprised who you can reach out to just on LinkedIn with like compelling personalized messaging that those people will be willing to take some time with you, as long as you're an awesome mentee. I would go find access. People you trust. Everybody knows somebody through one or two connections that you could access to. But I think that's where I would start if I was an early career individual.
Yeah, I like that, because it's like, if you don't think to ask it, but then you don't have access. It's not like you get to sit down, right? The CEO isn't necessarily doing that, right? And I'm going to flip this the other way, and we'll keep going down this path. When do you know it's time to abandon ship? So it's one thing to vet, but I want to go this route for a second, right? Like, okay, I vetted, I did it, I got in there. When do I know it's like, ooh, maybe this isn't what I thought it was going to be? Like, walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, it's such a good topic. And Annie Duke's new book is all about this exact topic. She's talking about like how quitting can be good. And she's a professional poker player. So like quitting I
love thinking in bets and how we think. Is this our third one?
I don't know. I've only read Thinking in Bets.
Okay. Yeah. Love Thinking in Bets. And she has another one that is on like my shelf somewhere I haven't gotten to yet. But yeah, so good. I think it's like How We Think or something.
Okay. This is just called Quit, the power of knowing when to walk away. And for a poker player, quitting is a different framing, because you're not quitting, you're folding. And so we need to think about that in our careers as well. Like, when is it time to fold this opportunity? And so I would ask the same questions, market, team, product, about your current company, and also get outside insight. And so things that are warning signs for me, I've had a lot of career conversations with people from my tree the last bunch of months. And then this is sort of the advice that I give to them. Be really diligent on churn. Like, if customers are churning like crazy and it's for product reasons, and there's not like an insane desire, like code red type of hustle to figure those things out, then that's definitely a warning sign. Lack of transparency. When a company holds off from sharing information. So if your company's not sharing information on burn and runway and churn and all of their success metrics, you want to ask the questions. Ask your manager. Be like, hey, I'm like curious. Like, I know we haven't really been hiring much lately, and this is going on. Like, can you share much what's happening in terms of our net retention rates or churn that we've seen in the market? Like, that's a pretty big indicator. Getting outside opinion on the caliber of the team. If you see senior folks coming in and out, especially if they come from like exciting pedigrees, like that's probably not a great sign. But, getting insight from folks around you, but it's a really careful balance, because again, like The markets have been drunk the last couple of years, and I've never reviewed resumes. I've never reviewed so many resumes with so many 9-month stints on them as I have in this period of hiring that I've just done. It is crazy. And I'm like, man, do I need to recalibrate like my expectations here? Because normally I see like 2 or 3 of those in a row. I'm like, oh, okay, no way. But like so many folks that I've seen applications for have that. So you'd certainly want to be cautious of jumping too early. Mm-hmm. And just because your company's laid people off does not mean it's a bad thing, because the markets were affected by free money and crazy money coming in from the Fed, which caused interest rates and sort of the return on capital to be viewed completely different than it is today. And so companies were doing actually like normal things, invest like crazy in growth, money's free. So your discounted future cash flows is like, that equation is going to be different when the cost of money is 0. When the cost of money is 5, 6, 7%, then as a business, we are forced to make very different decisions because of the fundraising climate and all these things. So it's not that your company or your CEO is dumb or reckless or whatever. Actually, in that environment, those things are pretty normal. Like reasonable, smart people could make that decision. Now that the market has changed and the economics of getting access to capital are so different, it is natural to have to make very different and difficult business decisions. So just because your company's laid people off does not mean it's like going in the sewer. In fact, if the earlier they've done that and the sharper they've been to make those changes to set the company up for success, the better. And the zombies are the companies that are going to, that won't have done it fast enough, that didn't take that advice early enough. So you don't want to jump ship too early for sure, because like in challenging environments, great careers will be made. Like so much of my early career success was I started selling in the 08, 09 recession. They fired a bunch of people. Then when we were rehiring, I was there as a top rep, and I went over and above, and we were growing again. So there was lots of opportunity. So there's 2 sides to this coin for sure.
Yeah, no. And I'm glad you addressed that, because I think it's something where it's been so easy to point and say, oh, they were being reckless with money, or, oh, it was bad planning. And it's like, look, no one at the start of 2022 had their bingo card out and said, okay, 9% interest rates. Okay, or inflation, 7% interest rates, a war overseas, a supply chain issue. Like no one had that planned for. And so the adjustments had to be made, and it does suck to go through, which actually does, I think, take me to the next point I want to make, right? Is like, okay, so now the hiring environment is different, right? You could go get a job, be there for 6 months, and a recruiter would hit you up and you go jump to that. Like I know people that personally that went from like 100K OTE to like 250 OTE in 1 year by getting 3 different jobs. Like,
did they get hired from Shopify? Because this sounds like what happened to my reps.
Like, I want to know where they all ended up, because this was happening everywhere, right? You could just put your finger out and get a job. Now it's the opposite, where a lot of people aren't hiring, or if they are hiring, there's 75 applications in the first however many minutes of it going live. So what are things to do right now to stand out as an applicant? Because otherwise, you're just getting buried in the resume stack, and all resume looks the same. We can talk about this later. I hardly ever look at resumes. I just don't believe them. Like everyone says great things on their resume. I'm like, I don't even need to take time to do this. So like as a candidate, how do I get to the top of that stack? How do I at least get my foot in the door to give the opportunity to land some of the gigs, since hiring is a bit tighter now?
It's funny you say that, because I've actually gone through so many resumes the last couple of months, and so few people have a compelling resume. I see so much of the time, managed a book of business, met and with clients and demoed and closed business. Like, I don't care about any of that. Just like, tell me the results. So I'm glad you're seeing better resumes than me.
Well, no, I'm not, because I don't look. I don't even look at resumes ever. I do not. For the past 3 years, I never look. There's nothing for me to see that, because either I'm going to have a recruiter talk to them or I'm going to interview them. What you say on your resume does nothing for me at all. I just never even look anymore.